Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 100?
Senate Bill 100 by Senator Robertson, the 29th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 311014 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the issuance of a new birth certificate following adoption, legitimation, or paternity termination, so as to provide for the issuance of a copy of the original birth certificate to certain adult persons who were adopted. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Joseph Gullett is recognized to present the bill. The chairman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bring before you Senate Bill 100. This brings fairness to the process of adopted individuals. When an adopted person turns 18, they will now be able to request a copy of their original birth certificate directly from the Department of Public Health, just like anyone else. Previously, they would have had to hire an attorney, petition the Superior Court, and obtain a court order. SB 100 removes those barriers and treats adoptive individuals with the same respect and dignity as everyone else in Georgia. Happy to answer your questions, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman has one question. Representative Buckner to your left is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
What happens until they get to that legal age? What do they use for a birth certificate when it's required?
So when you adopt someone, I adopted my son, and when we adopt him, there's a form that you fill out with DPH during the adoption. Do you want a new birth certificate, or do you want to keep the original? And you get to choose. So if I chose a new birth certificate with my name and my wife's name as the parent, then at that point, that is their actual birth certificate. When they request, say they become 18 years old and want their original, they'll go through DPH and request it just like you would, like anyone else would for the original, and it won't be a certified copy. But until you're 18, if you got a new birth certificate, that new birth certificate is your birth certificate. Even after 18, that's still your birth certificate. This is just a copy saying this is my birth record.
So, follow up?
Sure.
If the adoptive parents decided that they would use the original birth certificate, is that available to them at adoption?
It is.
Okay. This is just for people that chose the other and the child wants the original.
That's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If there are no further questions, Mr. Speaker.
You have several. You want to take at least one more?
I'll take one more. Yes, sir.
Representative Beckles to your left is recognized for a question. Representative Beckles.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Does this bill consider international adoptions?
If they have so I guess it would depend. So if you got a Georgia birth certificate, I would say it probably doesn't, because your original birth certificate would be from wherever it's from and not transferred here. So I would say it does not do that, but I'm not completely positive. It depends if your original birth certificate is a Georgia birth certificate.
Would the gentleman further yield?
Sure.
Would you consider thinking about including the international adoptions?
Not for this bill, because we're so far, but we can look at that for sure in the future.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, appreciate your time, and members, I ask for your favorable consideration. I yield the well.
The gentleman has yielded the well. We have a couple of speakers in favor of the bill. Representative Lisa Campbell is recognized to speak to the bill. Representative Campbell, give the lady your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, today I rise in support of SB 100. Georgia has been a restricted state, and Georgia-born adopted people currently must obtain a court order to get a copy of their own original birth certificates. However, with this bill, we are working to change this law, and that's why I rise today in favor. Many may not know that up until 1961, a Georgia adoptee could have attained a copy of his or her original birth certificate without a court order, as long as the adoptee was of age. I did not know this until a dear friend of mine wanted to learn about her birth parents in middle age. And I was surprised to learn, you may know, but I didn't, that for most people, their birth certificate remains their only birth certificate. However, for adopted individuals, a new or amended birth certificate replaces the original after the adoption is finalized, with the names of the birth parents replaced by those of the adoptive parents. My friend was not able through birth certificate research, but through DNA research, she was able to identify her birth parents. And this was a vitally important step in her life. Her desire to know where she comes from was, and still is, a key part of understanding herself, as it is with all of us. And today, at long last, hopefully with the adoption of this bill, we can restore the equal right for adopted persons 18 years and older to obtain their original birth certificate. This bill will give adopted young people the same opportunity that non-adopted people have in knowing who they are, a fundamental right that every person should be able to count on in a free and fair democracy. I'd like to share 3 quick reasons why this bill will have a positive impact on our families. 1, it restores equality. Adoptees will have the right to obtain their original birth certificate without government interference, a right we should have regarding access to all of our healthcare information and data. Number 2, it protects privacy. Many of us use consumer DNA tools, and it's an alternative, but it's very public, and it does not allow for private, sensitive communication between adoptees and their first families, a fundamental right. And number 3, it promotes health and well-being. Thousands of adoptees, birth parents, adoptive families, professional orgs, all agree, and many have reached out with me to share that truth and transparency are vital and promote health and well-being. In Georgia, I believe we should respect the rights of young people, parents, and healthcare experts to help us understand the most effective ways to expand options to information and care that supports individual choices for healthy adult lives. All adopted adults should have the legal right to obtain their own original birth certificate without restrictions. This birth certificate is a record of the moment of their birth. We call it literally a vital record. Adoptees deserve to have their birth certificate the same way that non-adopted people do. I support this profound bill because I respect the rights of our children, all of our children, including our adopted children, our foster children, our gay children, our transgender children. This bill recognizes the rights of our youth, all of our youth, to have knowledge about their DNA, about their physical health, and understand themselves more fully, so they can make healthcare choices using this information privately with their families and their healthcare providers without government interference. And this bill leans into evidence and research that supports access to expanded information and resources so our youth can make decisions that are right for themselves. This bill allows all of us to know who we are, where we come from, and this is a dear human right indeed. I applaud the authors, and I thank you. I encourage the same kind of respect in the future for all of our young people, and I ask for your favorable consideration of SB 100, because the truth of one's origins must be an inviolable right to all individuals in a fair and just society. Thank you, and I yield the well.
The lady has yielded the well. Representative Ann Allen Westbrook is recognized to speak to the bill. Representative Westbrook.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good afternoon, colleagues. I also rise in support of Senate Bill 100, Andy's Law, and I will invite you to join me in voting yes at the close of my remarks. Senate Bill 100 grants adoptees access to their own vital records, their own original birth certificates that reflect their name at birth, the time and place of their birth parents. Adoption is a beautiful, loving event and life-changing for so many people. But under our current law, part of that process is the loss of one's original birth certificate information. Our current law requires adoptees to go to court to obtain information that is rightfully theirs, that they are entitled to. Generally speaking, that requires them to hire counsel. Their counsel has to sue the Department of Vital Records. There is almost never an objection by the Department of Vital Records, so it's done as a consent order, and then the adoptee can get that information. But why should they have to go through all of those obstacles to get information to which they are entitled? SB 100 corrects that and restores access to all adoptees, not just with those who have the resources to go to court. Our current law is not just unjust, it's also outdated. It's designed to protect adoptees and families from a stigma we have worked hard to overcome. It is a relic of a time when shame of out-of-wedlock pregnancy was the norm, when exclusion was the norm, when shunning was the norm. And we've made great strides in overcoming all of that. Our law should keep pace with the strides that we have made. Our law should not prop up systems rooted in shame. I want to specifically shout out the advocates on this issue. I have no idea if any of them are, I see some waves. Thank you, advocates. I have been here for 3 years, and for 3 years, y'all have been here. You have been in our committee hearings, you have been on the rope line, you have been filling up our email inboxes, and I want to thank you for your engagement. One of the challenges of this job is we have to be generalists. We have to know a little bit about everything that comes to this floor, and I will be the first to say that until you engaged me, I didn't know much about this issue. I didn't know how that worked. You have been patient, you have been dogged, you have been committed, and I have learned from you, so thank you. All these advocates are asking us is for something they are already entitled to, their own origin story. As my colleagues stated, this origin story is essential to that sense of identity and that sense of self, and we all are entitled to that. Our law should facilitate that. It should not hamper it. So I am proud to speak in favor of SB 100, and I hope you will all join me in voting yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Thank you, Representative Westbrook. That concludes all our speakers. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? For what purpose does Representative Lim rise? He waves. For what purpose does Representative Fry rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, isn't it true that with the potential passage of the SAVE Act, which is in front of Congress, the federal Congress right now, that every adopted individual in the state may have trouble voting in the next election? Isn't that true, Mr. Speaker?
I'm not sure that's true, but I'm sure that's the way the gentleman reads it. Have all members now voted? If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? On the passage of Senate Bill 100, the yeas are 145, the nays are 14. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed.